In the beginning, there were beasts with black wings and beasts with white wings. The two hostile beasts did not stop fighting for 1,000 days and 1,000 nights, and the world was plunged into endless chaos. One day, a god in the form of a woman appeared. She gathered two beasts with her power and built a kingdom which she called Logos. After that, women became king and ruled over the humans, and the beasts prospered in the kingdom by her side. These two were transformed into humans. The first two nobles called guardians of the Logos, the white-winged Santella and the black-winged Luave. But among the guardians of this sacred Logos, there was someone who was born with a power that no one knew. Whether it was a blessing or a curse, people called him the Devil's Duke. In the next scene, a woman shouted, "Please stop." The person in the carriage asked someone else who seemed to be doing something to meet the Duke, what would he do? Duke replied, "Well, it's been quite for a while. Thought it would be quicker if they met for a while." The girl stated, "Duke Kahol Luave, he finally met her, to tease her like this. Is he sure he did that on purpose? This is love. She really loves him." Duke replied, pretending he didn't hear it, "On the way back, buy a potion of purification from the temple." The girl spoke. If he didn't accept her love, she would die. "Tonight, please come to Ern's temple. Take an oath of eternal love there. If he doesn't come, she will give him a present at the temple." Duke replied, considering it a threat to the person she loves. That was such a great love. He thought he was done with that, so he had to go. Duke thought those possessed by demons are really all the same. He is glad this is not like that today. It's boring. Would it be better if something new happened? That's not funny. Everyone is the same. Then the scene changed. Lena asked, "Master, has he called her?" The lady stated she is already 18 years old. She heard the rumors that the capital aristocrats, who came down to their estate, are getting married soon with her. Lena replied, "But she is just a maid. How could she be with such an aristocrat?" The lady stated she didn't need to think about this. They can put her in their family. After Lena left, the lady's daughter stated she is so glad she has Lena. How does that old man propose to her when he is over 50? What she heard was that the body of that person is not capable of producing children, but that's good, she has Lena. On the other hand, the old Viscount shouted, "What does he mean, leaving the capital? How could the Duke do this to Viscount?" The other person asked, "So why did he touch the white girl?" Viscount stated, "Shut up. Duke is the subject of the devilish nature that attracts men and women of all ages. How dare he insult him like this? He is stuck in the countryside for a while. He heard there was a young woman in the Fidelia family. Rural life isn't too bad either." In the next scene, Duke asked Gerard, "Do he think he is a prostitute?" The Count replied, "No, he is not." Duke told him it's a curse that made him live in trepidation for the rest of his life. He will not create any value that he doesn't have to use when he did like this. Duke thought, in the past when he was 10 years old, the day he was able to use this dawn demonic castle. Kahol asked, "Do he really have to go alone?" And then if something else happened, the maid replied. The Duke said that he would soon follow him to the banquet hall. Kahol thought the banquet was a place where proud nobles gathered. Besides, the nobles gathered at the banquet are the pillars of the honorable Logos. So then at the banquet, Kahol thought, please, he hopes nothing goes wrong. Suddenly, all the nobles came toward him. He is such a beautiful boy. Kahol thought this atmosphere. But why? They must be faithful and honorable. Why are they reacting like this? He hates it. Don't come, he is scared. The next moment, his father came, and father stated it's okay. He held up well, he is safe now. Nobles thought, what happened? What did she do? Kahol was happy. People are back to normal. Kahol stated, Dad, thank you so much. But suddenly, nobles stated, it must be the devil to make them possessed. Your Majesty, this demon dared to destroy her place. Please punish that demon. Kahol thought the nobles were ashamed of being possessed by demons. They put in a strong petition to hold him accountable. The queen made it compulsory for him to wear Kalia, a holy relic that suppresses demonic nature. As a result, the family reputation fell to the bottom. Besides, his demon inside is getting stronger as time goes on. Now it's hard to suppress the demon with only Kalia. He is using his magic power also. It's a craft that can't get a single patron with so many people. Whoever hears it will laugh at him. Maybe he will in the future. He can't feel the warmth of a human being. He is tired. On the other hand, Lena was ready. Lena thought, even though the conditions are so good, if she gets married instead of the lady's daughter. She hasn't even seen the face of the person who has been her husband for more than 2 months. The lady's daughter came and stated she must be happy now. They have been teaching her etiquette for a few weeks, so she will be fine now. Even if she can't hide her inferiority, the Duke is a generous person. He will ignore it. The next moment, the Duke came and stated, so she is the one who is going to be his wife. Lena thought, is he the Duke of Delroynes? The Duke stated she is so beautiful. Lena thought, this is hell on earth. The lady's daughter asked how she feels about her fiancé. Lena replied, is he going to marry that person? The maid told her there are so many things to learn to become a good wife, and she will teach her. In the next scene, the maid stated, please watch carefully and read it. Don't lose attention. She has to learn carefully, has to work hard not to be abandoned. Lena thought she had to consider it carefully. She has to escape from this place. In the next scene, the person stated how angry Horace was. Just thought that girl had to endure the Duke of Love. The daughter was raised by her parents. Don't know if she was enchanted by the demon or why she committed suicide. No parents in the world can leave it alone. Duke Lauve's punishment is well deserved. He will support Duke Horace. The Viscount replied, same here. Then thought that's because he will be paid a large amount. On the other hand, the Duke stated Delroynes and Fidelia are also too rushed. The Count spoke. There are also some trivial things, but Duke Horace is the one in charge of the actual action. The relationship of that person's daughter and the Duke has become worse. Duke asked, who is the daughter of Duke Horace? The Count told him there was a girl jumping into his carriage before. Her body was found in the temple. That's why Duke Horace got angry, lost his control, and wanted to avenge him. The bomb that was placed in the blood mineral quarry was removed safely, but the 2 carriages of the Duke were also bombed. Duke stated, so that means they were trying to assassinate him. Interesting. He doesn't want it to last long. Prepare to catch them as soon as possible. Quickly bring Horace and Delroynes to trial. Entrust this all for him. Is it okay? The Count replied, yes, sir. In the next scene, Lena thought it's been a few days since the Viscount has gone. The dividing preparation went smoothly, and Elliot was excited and used to laugh at her. She thought about going out of Kerouac, but the maid's interference is too much. Besides, even the soldiers are watching her. What is she supposed to do now? Does she really have to marry that person and live with him for the rest of her life? Suddenly, Lena thought, what happened? It's noisy outside. There are many soldiers. Come to think of it, if she can't hear the voice of the soldiers, who has been standing outside the room since before, she can run away from here. After some time, Duke thought, pathetic humans, there was one left. He didn't express his madness widely because he was concerned about the treatment of the Baron. He doesn't think there will be any variables like this. It's annoying, but we have to deal with it for sure. If he lets go of the demon like this, he won't feel any fear or pain. Duke stated, over there. Can she come over here for a moment? Lena replied, please save her. Duke thought, magic, isn't it useless to her, at such a close distance? Even though she is emitting a large amount of demonic power, she is not possessed at all. How has this happened? Lena thought, besides easily begging for her life, she doesn't have any pride in being an aristocratic young girl. Duke asked what her name is. Lena replied that she is Elliot Fidelia. Duke stated he would ask again if she really is Fidelia's young lady. Lena replied that only the Baron is her father. Duke spoke, saying he never heard of Elliot Fidelia being an illegitimate child. Is she lying in front of him now? Lena stated that, actually, she is not Lady Elliot. She is Lena, the maid of Fidelia Castle. she apologized for telling lies. Duke noted that the clothes are luxurious for that. Duke thought she seemed to have a story, an illegitimate child and a maid. Besides, magic doesn't work with this woman. Is all this really a coincidence? Duke stated, "Guards, clear the body," and the woman is taken to the Luave mansion. Then, at night, Duke asked her to come a little closer. Duke released his demonic aura. After that, Duke thought, even if he releases the demon in earnest, she won't be possessed, even without Kalia. Duke stated it looks like the Baron used her to get his daughter out. Therefore, it was considered unfair to execute her, who was brought instead. But it is also clear that she is the Baron's illegitimate daughter. He will let her decide whether to be executed or not according to her usefulness. From now on, answer his questions honestly. So, she is an illegitimate daughter of Baron, and her mother was an outsider. While serving as a maid, she almost married Deloigne on behalf of the Baron's daughter. Lena replied, "Yes, that's right." Duke thought about trying to deceive the Viscount. If it were true, the Baron was more daring than he looks. It doesn't change that either way is stupid. Interest can be divided into two types: an innocent victim with a really rare constitution, or a spy who was sent after him somewhere. What if Lena was a spy sent by the Santella family? No, that's all. Anywhere could be a lie. There is currently no way to confirm whether this is true or not. Then he will be sure to keep her close and recognize it. Duke asked what she did mainly, meaning what she did when she worked as a maid. He wanted to listen to what she has done to know her usefulness. Lena told him she has been working since she was little, so she knows how to do anything: laundry, cleaning, kitchen work, lady attendant, and reading too. Duke thought she was so desperate, then asked if she ever had a male owner. Lena replied that if he teaches her, she will study hard, but she never needed to do night maid work. She has never done anything like that. She is really clueless. She doesn't think she will be able to please the male owner. Duke spoke. "Okay, pass. He will tell the butler so that she can adjust to the mansion this week, and from the next week, she can work as a maid for his entourage. See her next week." In the next scene, people are trying to grab Duke while saying, "Don't run away. If he don't love them, they will die." Duke thought, how long do he have to be chased like this endlessly? Is it really all because of him? All he have to solve this, after all, do he have to die? Suddenly, Duke saw light. Then he ran toward the light, and thought, because no one really likes him. Then he woke up and thought, another dream like this. Lena stated, "Good morning, sir." After some time, the butler told the report that De Croynes committed suicide in prison, because of death being said to be suicide. The judgment and the amount of compensation in the ongoing price are expected to be different. Duke asked, wasn't he doing it for property in the first place? Does it not matter? Anyway, they are still part of the Black Faction mobility, so let's find out about the next successor. Come to think of it, the girl came in the morning. He was surprised because it had been a long time since someone had entered his room. Then Duke asked, what is his schedule for today? The butler replied, today, they are going to receive user training. Duke stated, please keep quiet about tales of his curse. The butler asked, is he keeping it a secret? Duke replied, a maid with a peculiar constitution suddenly appeared in front of him, who could not have a servant. Doesn't she think they fit together so well? First, they need to watch closely. Then the scene changed. The butler stated he would guide him to the annex today. Please follow him, this way. Lena thought, the first time visiting such a wonderful place, maybe this is enough to call it a castle. She thinks she can see why everyone takes pride in their work. The butler asked if she didn't seem to know much about the Duke. Lena replied, she doesn't know much about the nobles who have lived in Kerouac all the time. The butler asked, so when she saw him, did she really not feel any emotions? Lena replied, at first, she thought he was really scary. She will never forget what she saw in the present. Even when he smiled at her, she is afraid of that time. The butler asked, is that all? Lena replied, yes. Butler thought, is she really unaffected by the curse? Then he stated, she just needs to take good care of Duke in the future. Come on, he is going to tell her about the tea market. Lena replied, Yes, sir, but as far as she knows the tea market, she knew that it is a job done by a high-ranking woman among maids. So, wouldn't it be better for her to learn something else? The butler stated there is something he forgot to say. No one serves the Duke in this mansion except her. She is the only one here. Lena was shocked. On the other hand, Elliot thought about her mom and dad. Where were they taken? Since that day, no matter how much she waits, there is no news. Suddenly, she saw on the board that Baron Cedric is appointed Lord of Kerouac. In addition, Fidelia, the family, announces that they have been stripped of their titles and have been beheaded. People are talking that it was a good decision. They have been paying high taxes so far, and it's good. Elliot thought she has only met Viscount Delroynes a few times, but her family is extinct. They were compelled to obey the power of the Viscount, such a cruel treatment. Luave was a really vicious demon. Why does she have to go through this ordeal? What should she do now? Let's go to the Duke of Santella. It's the only family that can stand against Luave. And there are people who are said to be the manifestations of angels. They won't turn away from her. First of all, prepare for revenge in Santella. Just wait, Luave. She will definitely get revenge. In the Santella family, Lien stated that Liddell loses its cuteness day by day. She is really like their father. After becoming a successor candidate, he thinks she looks more like him. He left the house for fear of an update. Liddell replied that it's been a long time since he had a morning meeting with her brother. She is so happy. Duke stated, Horace's final event bankrupt. It was really reckless. From the movement, he held Viscount Delroynes and he seemed insane. Liddell spoke. She thinks 70 million rupees. The amount of compensation is too much. Viscount Horace's head. A good reason for sympathy for doing that. Whether she is worried that this will make Cahill more difficult. Lien stated, come to think of it, she said that she felt sorry for Horace in front of people. What does she mean? Liddell replied, she think it's a bit too much to do that to the Viscount who lost his young daughter. Lien thought, in the past, Santella and Luave, both families were competing, but also symbiotic because they were supposed to lead a country together. Who will bear the family in the future, feel a sense of unity with each other? They were quite friendly when they were young, although Cahill took over the dukeship very early. They became distant, but the friendship back then was true. In particular, Liddell became a duke even after Cahill became duke. He seemed to be friendly all this time, but it was the old Liddell. She wouldn't have put Horace in front of people. In the end, Santella and Luave have no choice but to separate. On the other hand, Duke thought about the Bloodstone. It is a resource mined in the mines of the Duchy of Luave. It is mainly used for high-end lighting. The Bloodstone spits out the sunlight it holds during the day, and then emits it again at night. Thanks to that, the nobles can enjoy the party until dawn. And this Bloodstone meets the Hildebrand kingdom. It's twice as bright as it is now. The kingdom must have heard the studies as well. If that is the case, then try to think of his family, the largest producer of Bloodstone, in order to use this to win an exclusive supply contract. Marquis of Roahala Arnyak, he has to use him as a celebrity in the social world, as he is also the second prince and diplomat of the kingdom. He will pay attention to this deal. Liddell stated, Darjeeling tea, sir. Duke thought, it's still awkward for someone else to give him tea. The taste of the tea. Was it originally like this? Because of the demonic nature, he forgot the taste of tea that someone else had made for a long time. He can feel the sincerity of that child put in a cup of tea. Feels like he has regained a little bit of what this curse has taken from him. Even though he can see that she is still afraid of him, it is wonderful he can't still rule out the possibility of her being a spy, but please, he wishes it wasn't. Liddell thought, what does it mean to taste like this as usual? It doesn't taste like tea. The next day, Lena thought working here is pretty good. Compared to working at the Baron's mansion, it's much more comfortable. Everyone here is also friendly. When she heard she was His Highness's closest servant, she was surprised. She asked the butler, the Duke is the most noble person in this country, second only to the Queen. A close servant of someone like him must be a noble. The butler replied, "It's a fact, but lately he doesn't want to be like before." Lena asked if she is just an ordinary maid and if she does something wrong. The butler replied, "Someone who can't do the work doesn't deserve to die, she can rest assured," although the butler said she can't forget the scene in prison. After some time, Lena spoke, "Your Highness, she will serve him a meal. Do he feel comfortable anywhere?" Duke replied, "Good job." Lena thought, suddenly being praised, she feels very surprised. Then Duke stated, "The heat is medium, so it's delicious." Lena thought luckily, found it palatable. In the kitchen, she tried her best to develop her ability. Actually, just looking at it is already delicious. Duke thought she looks like she is hungry. Then he stated, "Lena, it seems a bit lacking in food, bring more food." Lena replied she will go to the kitchen and come back right away. The next moment, Lena spoke, "His food is here." Duke replied, "Well, thinking about it, it seems to be enough. Please eat that part of this food. It's her meal now." He hates unnecessary waste. Lena thought, is this a new type of torture? When she made a mistake in the rules of the meals, she was punished by eating so many meals. Nevertheless, it's a blessing to learn how to eat because she can't sit for a long time. She has to eat quickly to clean up, but this is so delicious. Duke asked, "Is it delicious?" Lena replied, "This is her first time eating this meat. Very delicious, especially this oyster soup." Duke replied, "Yes, it is good. This soup is made from oysters from the Iwana region. The seafood and that land are very famous." After some time, Duke told her he has an important guest this week, so she will prepare to help him. Then at night, Lena thought today's meal with him was delicious, but why is he suddenly inviting her to eat with him? Doesn't he like to dine alone? He differs greatly from other nobles. He is always working, and doesn't pay too much attention to the servant like other nobles. His wardrobe is also not full of outstanding items. He only wears modest and inconspicuous clothes. It's a big deal. He said an important guest would come. If so, she wants to make him happy. She will do something. In the morning, Lena thought she was so sleepy. She thinks it's more tiring because it's quiet. Are all male owners like this? The atmosphere is different from when Elliot was dressing up. Lena stated, "Your Excellency, his hair is really nice." Duke asked, "What did she just say?" Lena thought, in contrast, is this a little too special? After all, working as a maid of honor is very difficult. Then she replied, "It's nothing." Duke thought she looked tired today. Did she even run around all night? He heard that popular stories are spreading among maids these days. The child who was almost dragged to the wedding hall, like romance novels. Duke stated, "A vest he has never seen. Did the butler order new clothes for him?" Lena replied, "That's the original clothes. She got the butler's permission and did some embroidery." Duke thought, this is amazing. Did she look tired from making this? Duke thinks she is a much more reliable kid than he expected. Duke spoke, "Thank you very much. This is a lot of hard work. Is she knew how to make clothes from the beginning?" Lena replied, "She knew how to sew and embroider, but she didn't learn how to make whole clothes." Duke stated she must have suffered, so go and rest now. After that, Duke thought, close that contains someone's sincerity, ordinary favors that do not contain even an inch of desire. How long have he been waiting for something like this? He doesn't have to be afraid of everyday life. That's great. In the next scene, a maid stated, "Lady, she has a visitor." Liddell asked, "Who?" The maid replied, "She is Elliot Fidelia, a victim of something related to Viscount Horace." Liddell thought, is she the daughter of that stupid little noble? Viscount did the same. But how foolish everyone is, Liddell stated. Let her in, no one can know this. Elliot thought she really looks like an angel. Like a rumor, Elliot, on her knees, stated her Fidelia family was unfairly killed by Luave. Please help her, she is the only daughter of the Baron. Liddell asked if she knew that Fidelia's daughter is already dead. Elliot replied, the person who died then was the maid. Although she is her father's illegitimate child, she has always lived as a commoner, but against Duke of Luave, she can't do anything alone. Liddell stated, "Is it so? She is well aware of her embarrassment. Please stay with us for a while. How about coming in as her maid, because the title is important. It is also a good story to get married later." Elliot replied, "Thank you, Princess. The princess is truly an angel as rumored." Liddell thought it will be more fun than she imagined. Then the scene changed. Luhala thought the Duke of Luave, famous for his reluctance to invite him, is more outspoken about business than he thought. Well, it's a good opportunity for him. Duke invited someone and made them wait like this. No matter how much he is a duke of a demonic castle, he won't fall for it. Duke came and stated, "Welcome," Luhala replied. "Today, he is more shining, sir." Duke replied, "Thank you. However, saying that is too rigid. Please call him Kahal." Luhala thought that hit the spot, and he thought he would be drinking the purification potion for a few days, but he is so tempting. After that, Luhala asked, "Isn't it common for maids to serve tea?" Duke replied, "It's just that he can't keep common users around. Butlers of high-ranking nobles don't even do this." Ardor was originally a knight, who could not be inferior to being the leader of the Knight's Guard. He is the owner of a great auror who can always be with him. However, after he was seriously injured while fighting monsters, he is now a butler and watches over him. Then, after some time, Duke stated, so that Hildebrand and the Bloodstone business can be conducted exclusively, he wants him to lend his connections and influence, the king and crown prince. The only person who can easily tell the story to both of them is Sir Luhala. Instead, he will help Luhala do business in Logos. He heard that Luhala is very interested in the fashion of this country. Isn't it a pity that the interest ceases to exist? If the business goes well, the crown prince will know the sincerity of Sir Luhala, half-brother. Wouldn't that be nice too? Luhala replied, "He already knows everything about him. Yes, he wants to do a big fashion business at Logos. This is a place where he can accept and lead the world's fashion in a variety of ways. But now, the fashion here is only revolving around Lady Santella, but can he really support him for this?" Duke replied, "As long as he starts, he can support him." Luhala stated, "That's good. As for the Bloodstone trade, let him bring some delightful news." Duke replied, "He is already looking forward to that day." The next moment, Lena came and asked if the tea was cold, so she bought a new one. She apologized if she interrupted the conversation. Duke replied, "No, she didn't." Luhala thought a maid, but Duke said that he can't keep common users around. Then, after some time, Duke thought, even though he knows about this, if he is quick-witted, he must have already had doubts about Lena. If this is known outside, the royal side might take Luhala for research. No matter how much he suspects that she is a spy, but thanks to that girl, he was able to feel normal. She can't be taken away like that. Lena asked if he had any problems. Duke replied, "No, it's nothing." Then he thought strangely just looking at those eyes makes him feel at ease. Duke told her that sooner or later, the tailor would be called to the castle. Then they would measure for her. Lena replied she would do her best. Duke thought a pure smile, not lust, greed, or even sympathy. There really was someone who could make him smile like that. Lena stated she needs to clear the table, but she forgot about it. Duke replied, "All right. Please don't," but he could not complete his sentence. In the next scene, the butler stated that Logos is a country ruled by the queen, as she knows. There will always be only one daughter who will be the successor, inheriting the queen's power to subdue the two dukes, and she will become the next great ruler. Between the current queen and His Majesty, the Grand Duke, originally the Grand Duke's birthday banquet was smaller than the princess's birthday. Now that the princess is not present, it has been opened on a relatively large scale. Lena got the information and then asked if he was tailoring new clothes for that party. Duke stated, "Classes like that, she must have learned to measure." Lena asked if he really minded if she measured him. Duke replied that he didn't like people he didn't know touching his body, and now that she is here, the author should get some rest. After that, Lena started measuring. Duke thought that again, People are grabbing him and asking him to turn around and look at them. They love him. Lena stated. Did he have any discomfort? Duke replied, no, that's fine. Butler thought a maid who can protect their excellency. He always only saw his excellency struggling because of his demonic nature, and seeing him lead a normal life is truly a miracle. After that, Butler asked, after calling the tailor, how about looking at accessories, for jewelry or shoes? Duke replied, it is enough to use what he has now, don't spend unnecessary money. Butler spoke, apologizing to Lena, that his excellency doesn't buy jewels. He wanted to show her jewelry that is fashionable among the aristocracy. Lena replied, come to think of it, he will meet some new trinkets too. Duke stated, go and call the merchant. In the next scene, Duke asked, which one does she think is better? Lena replied, this one, then thought the red one, as it's similar to his eye color. After some time, the shopping has been completed, Duke stated. This is for her, she did a good job today. Lena thought, this looks so precious. It is uncommon to receive such a gift if a normal maid takes good care of the owner. Back in the past, Elliot stated, what did she just have in her hand? Lena replied, there was nothing, she was just tidying them up for her clothes. Elliot told the other maid to check her right now, thinking she must be hiding something. The maid checked the clothes and replied, there really is nothing. The next moment, Lena woke up and thought it was a dream. She is still dreaming of this. She knows that the moment she is hated by the owner is the end. Even in Fidelia, the owner's words were the law. She wonders if his excellency is the same. No, he seemed a bit different from the aristocrats. He gave such an expensive gift to a maid like her. At least he won't be the one trying to kill her right now. Please, she hopes her thoughts are correct. The next morning, Duke stated it's the perfect place for a private audience with Her Majesty. The Grand Duke's birthday banquet will be a great opportunity for Luhala. Is this his first time seeing Her Majesty? Luhala replied they had previously met at a diplomatic meeting, but she won't remember him since he was in the corner as the second prince. Duke stated that now Prince Luhala will become the Queen's resourceful partner, because he is going to make it so, at today's banquet, he can say that he is Duke Cackle Luave's close friend. Luhala asked if he could get such a favor. Duke stated that Luhala would not be the type of person to tell the private story of a close friend, even if Luhala doesn't tell him. Luhala thought it was an excessive price, but to say such a condition, after all, the Duke could not make a mistake. Then, at the banquet hall, the Queen and Grand Duke arrived. The next moment, Duke of Santella, Lien, and Princess Liddell Santella arrived. People praised her beauty and dressing, but the Queen didn't like this. The Grand Duke stated, Your Majesty, don't worry too much, in any case, she is the only queen of this country. The Queen replied that she knows, but there's something else this time. The next moment, Duke arrived, and nobles were chatting. The devil-possessed people had been dressed up, and girls were so happy that this is not a dream. Liddell spoke, Cahill is becoming more and more like the devil of temptation. After some time, the Queen asked if there was any reason for the second prince to come, and Luhala started telling the details. Lien spoke that as soon as Duke Cahill heard the results of the bloodstone test, he wanted to recruit the Marquis of Rognac. Liddell stated that father sent uncle to Hildebrand deliberately, and she guessed he expected that too. To have an exclusive deal with the Duke, Hildebrand is an idiot. Even after a few years, they would try to lower the price of ore, but they signed the contract at once, even though her uncle warned her about it. Lien thought that clearly Duke Cahill was far ahead of them. Damien Luave, the farmer head of the duchy, wasn't normal either. If there is any weakness for such a perfect Cahill. On the other hand, Luhala, after providing some details, asked if only Her Majesty the Queen approves. He wants to start a fashion business at Logos. He has already received an investment from Cahill, and he is confident that he will succeed. It will be good for the social world too. Currently, the social world of Logos is not being controlled by one person. The Queen replied that she looks forward to the conversation with the wise young man. Come to the Violet Room in 2 hours because she wants to hear more details, and Duke will be with her. In the next scene, Liddell came and stated that the red dress the queen is wearing today is very dazzling. It looks like the sun, adorned with the most splendid jewels than anyone else. The queen stated that she always admires the loyalty of the two dukes. Liddell is such an accomplished woman, so she is not worried about her. By the way, she is always surprised by Duke Luave, even though he succeeded at a young age. How serious and wise he is. Other nobles should imitate him. After the banquet, Maria stated, "Princess, the queen only talked about the duke. No matter if she is the queen, making one of her in this way." Liddell told her it's disrespectful to say such a thing. If anyone hears it, it sounds like a big deal. Maria said people say that Her Majesty must adopt Liddell as her adopted daughter and inherit her throne. She really wishes Her Excellency becomes the queen. Liddell replied that she knows her heart. Always remember to be careful about what she says. Liddell's thought public perception is like this: the time is not yet. She does not have the power that is bestowed from generation to generation. Without power, she would not be able to subjugate Luave even if she became queen. Luave will hinder Santella's growing power. Maybe Cahul is going to be king too, so she still has to be careful until everything is perfectly ready. In the Duke mansion, Duke stated thanks to her, the job went well. Does she have anything she would like to have? Lena replied she has never done anything so great. Duke spoke that it is not so. Thanks to her decoration, he was able to meet Her Majesty the Queen well today, so just say anything. Would jewelry be good? Tomorrow he will call the merchant and select the latest trendy jewelry by type. Lena replied she doesn't want jewelry. She would like to know about the people who have been together in Fidelia Castle. There are people who are like family. She could not even say hello all of a sudden and left. Duke asked if they were like family. They would miss her. Can she tell him more about them? Lena replied when she was 10, she was alone. Uncle Theo recommended her to be the Fidelia maid. He must have been busy with this stable keeping. He took great care of her like his own daughter. Then Sid, with the uncle, protected her from being hated by being called an illegitimate child. She also considered Sid like a sibling, part of her family. Duke replied even though it's not her family, but as she said, she was protected by them, and they treated her like family. So, do not worry. He will send someone to find out about them. He would rather bring them here. After all, there is always a shortage of people in the Duke family. Lena was so happy. Duke thought why? He knows it's a good thing, but it just makes him uncomfortable. Why do they care so much? Then, after some days, Theo asked why she is here. The maid replied that there is a message that came from the Duke of Luave, instructing both of them to go to the Duke right away. An illegitimate child born to an unclean thing of unknown origin was around the Duke. She didn't know what it was, but it must have strongly offended the Duke's heart. Sid shouted, asking why the maid hates Lena so much. What did that kid do wrong? The maid stated to put them on the cart and send them to the Duke. After some time, Theo spoke, saying it looks like they are really in Chalian. Otherwise, why would the Duke call them to this place? Sid asked why did it happen. They did nothing wrong, so Lena did something wrong and died. The butler came and told them to drink this first. Both of them thought it was poison, wondering if he was really trying to kill them. Theo asked if he could tell him the reason why they would die. The butler replied, "Dying? What is he talking about? This is a potion of purification made in the temple. They have to drink it before the Duke sees them." After some time, Duke thought, looking at him, that it looks like he has been through a lot. He thinks he is scared, but that child isn't as terrified as he thought. Then Duke stated the reason he called them there, to hire them as stable keepers for him. He told the butler to let Lena in. The next moment, Lena came, then she hugged both of them. Duke saw Lena so happy. This is the first time he has seen Lena like this. Lena spoke, saying she doesn't know how to repay this favor, but thank you very much. Duke gestured for her to stand up, not meaning to be greeted like this. Both of them also sat down. After that, Duke told them that Lena is very curious about their well-being. When he tried to give her a prize, she said she wanted to find them. He thought it would be more efficient to have them work here. The butler gave them detailed instructions. Then, after some time, Duke thought that Lena was a child who knew how to reveal such intense feelings, but dealing with him, he thought he almost saw her trembling in fear. It's definitely worth calling them out, but aren't they too intimate? No matter how much they grew up like real siblings, they are still strangers. At her adult age, she is so reluctant to cuddle. Lena didn't know, but Sid, that person, certainly noticed. He will have to pay special attention to it. By the way, why did something like this come to his mind? The next morning, Lena stated that the freesia flowers are in full bloom, and suggested putting this flower pot in his office. The butler thought she looked much better since she brought those stable keepers. The child who was always scared is now full of motivation and lively. Did she feel comfortable meeting people like family again? Well, it's not just Lena who has changed. Duke has also changed because of his demonic nature. He had to eat too quickly, and now he knew how much his inner rot was due to the wounds he had received since he was a child because he didn't even tell his father. But after Lena came, the butler thought about the day after the banquet, when Duke stated he had something he wanted to ask. The butler called the merchant who came last time. This is a new encyclopedia of the dressing room that Lena recommended. It's a trendy title these days. How is it, author? Do he think it will suit him? At the present time, the butler thought he was surprised by how suddenly a person who had no interest in clothes did that. He is glad Duke seems to be changing. Then the butler stated to Lena that it's her tea time soon, she should be ready, and then thought trusted Lena today. Shall he try an experiment? The scene changed, and Lena stated, Your Excellency, she brought him some tea today. She brought tea food specially recommended by the chef, and it looks delicious. Duke replied that he doesn't enjoy dessert, Lena thought, and the butler told her what to do next. Lena spoke, saying, But it looks like it would be really tasty. Duke replied, Then eat it. Lena stated it can't be. How can the lower ones put their hands on the food of the one they serve? She can only eat if it's leftovers from each of him. Duke thought about her mother asking if it's delicious. Lena asked if he doesn't like it, and Duke replied that he already ate, now she can eat. Lena replied he only took one bite and urged him to eat a little more. Duke proposed a deal. If she doesn't eat, he won't take another bite either. So, she sat there and tried it. Lena thought it was so yummy, then asked, Now it's his turn to eat. Duke grabbed her wrist and ate with her hand. Lena stated, No, that's the fork she used. Duke replied, Before that, he was the one who used it. She doesn't have to fuss. No one dies. Now that he had eaten enough, she could eat the rest. Lena stated that this is the first time she is eating something so delicious. Duke replied that he should give the chef a prize. In the next scene, the butler asked if she really meant that Duke ate dessert. He really didn't know if it would work. The butler thought the stubbornness Duke has been holding on to since he was a child would soon be broken like this. Isn't Lena's influence too big than expected? It is good that he is changing as he is now, but if Lena becomes more than just a maid, then the story is different. What would happen if Lena suddenly left him? Is it right to leave it like this? Back in the past, Duke asked, How is it? The doctor replied, After giving birth to young master, who possesses powers, it seems that it has affected Madam's body. As of now, the treatment is not clear. Cahal asked, Is it because of him too? Duke replied, No, it's not like that. Don't cry. Cahal spoke, Everyone said his mother is sick because he is a monster. Duke replied, It's not like that, so don't listen. The doctor told him that the Duchess would feel better if she is in good shape and if she avoids sweet foods and eats healthy foods. Cahal stated, His mom likes sweet things the most. He is sorry, mother. Butler asked, Young master, is he really not going to eat it? This is a dessert that the chef has newly developed for him. Cahal replied, No, his mother can't eat a single piece of this because of him. Then he won't eat it either. He doesn't deserve this. Now back in present time, the butler thought no matter how much he thought about it, it's clear that he feels attached to Lena. It is natural to see how Lena treats him. because he is the only person who can never be shaken and dealt with. Even if Lena really leaves like this, His Excellency will not only return to the way he was before, but he will also be unable to trust people at all. However, in the future, he can't keep Lena out of marriage, so should he expect Lena to have feelings for him? Then, after some time, the Count asked where he was going. Duke replied. Duke said he wants to discuss plans for the construction of the building. Sometimes he has to show that he is pushing. The next moment, Lena came and asked if he called her. Duke replied, "Get ready to go out, bring a hooded robe," and he would suggest she wear a robe that covers her face. She haven't looked outside since coming here, so there won't be a lot of waiting around. All you have to do is follow me diligently. The Count asked, "Sir, what is this? How could a maid be so fine? Is she a knight? If not, is she the heir to the Luahala or the Santella family?" Duke replied. He once suspected that she might be a spy of Santella, but looking at her actions, he don't think that's the case. In the next scene, Lena was so happy and then stated, "It's so different from Kerouac. There are crowds of people over there. What is that?" Duke replied, "If she is curious, would she like to come down and take a look?" The Count asked if he was late for his appointment. Duke replied, "It can be a little late when he is a duke, so that's fine." The Count thought, when did he change like that? Lena stated she didn't expect a fountain to be so pretty, and she was happy to be able to see something like this. "By the way, what are those people throwing?" Duke replied, "It's coins. It is said that if someone puts a coin in the base over there, their wish will come true. He will give her a coin, so make a wish." What is your wish? Is there something she always wanted? Whether she want to get rich or live long? Lena stated one thing came to mind. Her wish is family. Someday, she also wants to have her own family. Duke thought if it's a family, she wants to get married. Then, is he going to quit her job as a maid and leave his side? Back in Lena's past, her mother passed away. Baron Fidelia may not be the real father, and Uncle Theo took care of her, but it wasn't a real family. She hopes that someday she will have a real family too, a warm house with no worries, a loving husband, and her child smiling happily. She wants to be confirmed that she is not alone. Now back at present time, Duke asks if she's thinking of getting married. If so, she must have thought about the person and the time. Lena replies that she hadn't really thought about it that much. She wishes to have a warm family. Duke thinks he can barely breathe now. When Lena quits her job after her marriage, Duke states that thinking of getting married is still a little too early. Lena replies that originally she was going to marry Viscount Deloigne in Kerouac, where people get married as early as 15. Duke thinks it was really close. If it had been a little late, Lena would have married that guy. He doesn't even want to imagine it. Come to think of it, he is not the only one having a problem. It's probably too early for Lena to get married. Why is he even worried about this? Lena states, "Sir, the hand. Also thanks for the help." Duke throws the coin and then states, he hope her wish will come true. Since she personally helped him, it will definitely come true. Lena thinks, yes, she hopes it comes true. Duke thinks he hopes she stays by his side forever. In the next scene, Duke states, "Don't go away for a while, he will be back soon. So wait in the carriage in the meantime, you must not show anyone else." After he's gone, Lien wonders what he's seeing now. There is a woman in Cahel's carriage, and even Duke seems to be having a friendly conversation. Who is she? This is interesting. He wonders why Luave's wagon is out on the street but seeing all these sights, so lucky. Lien says, "Hello, lady. What is her name?" Lena wonders what to do. She has to hide. Duke said she should not show her face to anyone. Lien shouts that he's not that bad of a guy, and why don't they talk for a second? Then he thinks no matter how it is, he can't see her face. After all, she's the woman next to Cahal. After some time, Lien thinks he wanted to have a conversation with an unknown lady, but it's a pity. She certainly doesn't look like a noble. How the hell is she with Cahal? If Dad and Little find out about this, they will try to figure out her identity right away. In that case, Kahal might hide the girl to save her. There are many interesting things with Kahal. A woman who is not a noble and does not seem to be possessed by a demon. What the hell is he hiding? Kahal. He will have to do some more research around him. High Priest stated thanks to the Santella family for supplying white jade at a low price to be used for carving. He sees great benefits every time. Liddell speaks, mentioning that the trial printing of the revised scriptures is over. The priest replies that it's finished without any problem. She should check it out. Liddell states it seems to be very smooth, and the priest tells her that originally 2 beasts. By revising the written verse, he wanted to find the true meaning of what the goddess meant. The part related to Milike's prophecy that Liddell requested has also been revised. In the 2,000-year-old logos, the Santella and Luave families fight for the crown. One family will survive and rule the logos of the new age forever. Everyone has been preparing for these words for a long time. Liddell states that the glory of the logos that has acquired a new master will be endless. That's perfect, he has worked hard. The printing of this revised edition is very important, and 5,000 copies will be distributed free of charge by the Santella family. Then Liddell states that the Queen of the Kingdom was born with the power to subdue angels and demons. It gets weaker as the generations go by, and after reaching the current queen, it has become embarrassing to even call it power. Then she wonders if the owner will get weaker over the generations. It's a difficult question, but since it says Eternal Son, it sounds like they don't have to worry too much. The important thing now is that the queen's power is weakening, and, in fact, even a princess to pass it on to was never born. The priest states that Liddell is the greatest achievement of their family. For a long time, they must not yield to the power of the queen. They have long cast a spell on their body to dilute her obedience. Finally, Liddell was born. He feels no respect or loyalty to the queen. Liddell is truly the perfect being. She will make their long-time wish come true. Liddell states the time has come. She will begin the glorious history of the Santella dynasty. The sutra will be the beginning of driving the demon Luave out of this land. On the other hand, Lena wonders who that blonde man was. He didn't seem like he knew her. Thanks to the robes, she thinks she hid her face well. She wonders why His Excellency told her not to show her face to others. There are still many things she doesn't know. Compared to Fidelia Castle, here she feels like a princess. His Excellency not only gives her tea time every day but also gave her a present recently. She was happy because it was the first gift she has ever received. Isn't there too much to do compared to receiving? There is something that can please His Excellency other than what she should do. Great, let's find something like that. In the next scene, Duke is feeling pain. Lena asks if he is sick, and Duke replies that no. It's just that the muscles, he have been busy, and he neglected his swordsmanship practice, and it hurts now. Lena replies that's it, His Excellency, she will relieve his fatigue. Lena stated, now it's time to go. Duke asked if he had to get a massage while taking a bath. Lena replied, it's more effective if he relax his body in warm water and receive it. Now, go into the bathtub. Duke thought that no matter how strong Lena is, he didn't know what would happen in this situation. Duke spoke, he have to go. Lena stated, it's fine, relax here. Duke thought his mind had calmed down to the extent that he didn't feel like rejecting her. Lena told him, first, she will wash his hair. A towel will be placed behind his neck so he can lie on his back, leaning only his upper body back. Now, he can relax his body. After that, Lena started giving him a massage. Lena asked if it hurt, and Duke replied, it doesn't hurt, but the next moment, Duke exclaimed, ouch. After some time, Lena asked, he have been too busy all this time. It would be good for him to rest a little more comfortably. Duke replied, he is stronger than everyone else, so it's fine. Lena told him that even strong people need rest, thinking he can take a little more because he is always working hard. The massage was over, and she suggested he take a little more rest in the tub to unwind. Duke asked if it looked hard and said it seemed like she overworked it. Lena replied, she have a lot of muscle. Duke spoke. She is really good at massage, a lot of pain has gone away. Lena was really happy, and the next moment, Duke kissed her forehead. Lena blushed, and Duke stated, "It's okay, she can go now." After some time, Lena thought, "What was that just now? Her heart is warm and strangely overflowing. Could it be that this is praise? This is very pleasant." In the next scene, Butler asked if there was something she needed to say. Lena replied, "Can he stroke her hair just once?" Butler thought about how hard she had been to grow up and asked him for this kind of request. Butler stroked her hair, and Lena said, "Thanks for listening, she will just leave." Lena thought it was strange. It felt good, but it was a little different from before. It was much better when the Duke stroked her. What is this feeling? It's really weird. Then at night, Duke thought about Lena, that child. What the hell is it? The moment he saw Lena smiling, he just wanted to hold her tight in his arms. He even regretted it. Is it possible that he himself is encroaching on the demonic castle? If he could feel more like today, is he going crazy? What does he think of the innocent Lena, who has just passed the age of majority? Suddenly, Count came and stated, "Please look at this." Duke spoke. "This is a revised version of the scriptures. It's sold from next month, so now they openly label the Luobs as demons." He deceived by how good it is. Count stated, "After brainwashing the people with this, it would almost say that Luave is something they need to defeat. It must have been that generations' patronage of the scriptures had been sponsored for such a feat." Besides, in the news that is popular among common people these days, they are insulting him for being the devil of temptation and a terrifying murderer. If the scriptures are distributed in earnest here, there will be no way to use them. Duke spoke. "The scriptures publishing industry is a business that Santella has monopolized for generations. It's not an area they can touch. What matters is why they do this." Count stated he can't sit still. He can figured out that they must counter Santella. Duke replied, "Yes, in the social world, Luahala and his business will help fight the image, so take care of his escort." After some time, Duke thought, as long as they are human, good and evil cannot help but coexist. With only this, the word can be transferred into angels and demons. Trying to break it down simply by the words good and evil. How stupid humans are. In the next scene, Duke stated, he have a question. If she feel bad, she don't have to tell him so. Your dream was to start a family. Maybe he think of getting her a husband, so would she say that is he her ideal type or something like that? Lena replied, "Well, why is that all of a sudden?" Duke spoke, "Usually, the wedding of the maid of acquaintance is arranged by the owner's wife, 'cause he is her only owner, so he thought it would be good to know." Lena replied, "She can't choose a person, but still, if she had to pick one, it would be nice to be a friendly person. She thinks he is very kind. Is there anyone else who took care of him until now? If she gets married and leaves here, he might feel a little lonely." Duke asked, "Is Sid friendly?" Lena replied, "Yes, Sid is a friendly person." Duke stated, "Sid always went without an expression. Besides, Sid looks a little flimsy." Lena stated, "Sid is a bit blunt, but how good is she to her own people? It's because when Lena didn't eat well, they gave her a lot of food. Still, in Kerouac, she was the best manipulator of the stables. She believes that the heart is more important than the appearance of a person. It would be nice if both were beautiful. If only the shell is beautiful, and the inside is gloomy, she hates it even more." Duke thought Lena is right. Then he must be nothing less than a monster covered in beautiful leather. On the pretext of suffering from demonic nature, he didn't even try to look inside other people. He just cut the edge. Duke asked, then in her opinion, he must have seemed very unpleasant. Lena replied, "To be honest, it's true that she was scared at first because their first meeting wasn't very peaceful. But now, His Excellence is so kind and sweet. He has given her too many things, brought Uncle Theo and Sid too. She doesn't know how to repay all this favor. Would he like a compliment?" Duke thought she is thanking him, but actually, he is the one who should be thanking her. Duke stated it was no less than she deserves. The Pitelia's too hell on her. Then Duke asked, December is almost here. Do she have her winter coat and fur boots? Lena replied. She has the wool coat he gave her last time. She never thought fur boots would be necessary. Duke stated, in winter, he will go sledding in Chardon, and as his personal assistant, she shall go sledding with him. In the next scene, Lena thought Duke ordered all the first-class quality coats and fur boots. Lena asked, don't he think he is ordering too much? Isn't fur very expensive? Duke asked, is she afraid he will run out of money? Lena replied, it's not that, she is just a maid. Duke stated, the house of Luave is one of the 2 guardian houses of this empire. The size of our dukedom is equal to that of an entire country, so, in the eyes of my people, he is a king, and she is his one and only personal assistant. She can't wear just anything. Lena thought, so it's not for her personally, it's to maintain the status and image of him and his house. Lena let it be. She will work hard to better serve him. Duke stated she is doing well enough. Duke thought she might not like him touching her without permission. Lena was smiling. Duke saw it. Then he kissed her on the forehead. Lena was shocked. Duke asked if she is not smiling this time. Lena thought he is praising her again. But she didn't do anything worth praising. She needs to go. On the other hand, Lien got the information that Kahal is buying that girl an expensive fur coat. It's possible she might be his mistress. Then he thought that's not going to happen, because Kahal is actually excessively innocent when it comes to such things. It is clear that he has a personal assistant. She is not affected by his powers. So he has to observe them and ask the temple if there are any priestesses her age who left the temple. Like this video. Hit the like button and subscribe for more videos.